Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Honor the Land presented by FanDuel on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Love, he is Chevzay, and it is the first ever Victory Monday in the history of Honor the Land on Big Play. Zay, you called it. Andre Smith game-winning kick. Browns beat the Packers 13-10. I truly could not believe what I was witnessing, but I'm glad I witnessed it. How are you feeling on this beautiful Monday morning?
I mean, when's the Powerball? When's the Mega Million? I feel
Get
like
it.
what I'm saying. I almost had a crystal ball and I almost felt like I called it. Well, you know what I'm saying? I'm feeling great. Yesterday was the first day I took the kids to the game, and I don't know if you saw my picture or not, but they were asleep by literally the first snap of the first quarter. So the second they woke up, I'm like, "Do you guys just want to go back to the RV?" Knowing that I kind of wanted to head back there myself. And sure enough, they were all for it. And we went back to the RV, made it back in time for the third quarter, or right before at halftime. And the rest is history, man. I feel so good. It sucks I didn't get to see you yesterday, but how was your day? What did you spend your day doing?
It was insane. So I obviously went to the Giants game last night. So I was with my family, kind of hanging out here, waiting for the game, working a bunch, and I'm getting ready to talk about how insane this Browns defense is, which obviously it is. Getting ready to talk about if it had any semblance of offense, the Browns could be 2-1 or even 1-2 at this point. And then I look down at my phone, and all of a sudden it's a Grant Delpit interception. I'm like, whoa, hold up here. This game may have something. And then I went, saw the touchdown, got back out. I saw, I believe, the penalty on Romeo Doubs, and then another chunk play, fumble recovered by the Packers, not Browns. And I was like, okay, it's over. Here we go again. And then the block kick, I was like, oh, I got to watch this. Obviously, the rest is history. It was good. We don't need to talk about the Giants. I don't want to talk about the Giants, but the Browns game was awesome. The Browns game was awesome. I can't believe they found a way to win. Like, that's a game that every other team in the NFL finds a way to win against the Browns, but the Browns somehow found a way to win against one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the NFL, one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL. It's so eerily reminiscent of the 49ers game from 2 years ago where you walked in. It was the dude wipes game as well. Jake Moody missed that kick. Brandon McManus has this one blocked. It was truly unbelievable to see this unfold where absolutely nobody thought they had a chance, and they did.
It's funny you said the San Francisco 49er game because 6, 7, 8 people came up to me after the game and said the exact same thing. I also think it reminded me of the Indianapolis Colts game.
Really?
The reason why I say that, the refs tried to hand us the game at one point. When we came down, we had 2 pass interference calls, both on our end of the field. Both came on third down, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then after we get both of those gifts from the refs, we go, I'm not going to be negative about because it was going to be bad today, but we go play action pass design to Whippler after that. Then we end up getting a penalty, and it's 3rd and a billion just to get 3 points. Like, that was the type of thing where it's like, this is as Browns as it gets. And like you said, man, we found a way to win. And I mentioned it after the post game. I don't know about the offense. We're going to have a lot of discussions about the offense, but in terms of what it does for the team as a whole and the mentality that the defense has been running with since this past week, Myles Garrett came out in that press conference last week, and the first thing he said was, it's BS. Our defense has to be better. Mason Graham came out. Grant Delpit came out. They all talked about the defense and how they can just control what they can control and create turnovers.
Yeah.
They did that. This is one of those wins where it truly can alter an entire locker room. Again, offense included, this can give you that mojo. So I couldn't be more excited for the way that we won, because this is the games where you look at it and be like, good teams find a way to win this game. And they did.
Good teams find a way to win this game. That's the best way to put it. You said it was going to be bad today. It is going to be bad today. And if I'm anti-Kevin Stefanski offense, it's bad because I'll defend him. But it was really bad. On the other side of the ball, we got to talk the positives. I mean, this defense was unbelievable. I don't think the Packers are, the Baltimore Ravens when it comes to offensive talent, but they're a good offense. They got a good quarterback. They have a very good running back. They have dynamic pass catchers. And this defense said, screw all that. We are the best unit between the two. I mean, Malik Collins is the guy I want to highlight. Malik Collins was unbelievable. And I think a lot of the people who are deep in the weeds on the film could see it. He had a very high pass rush win rate, but a lot of people who are deep in the weeds in the film could see him consistently getting after the quarterback, manufacturing pressure. And he was unbelievable the first 2 weeks. And then you truly felt his impact on the box score in the face of a quarterback. Him and Mason Graham and Shelby Harris blocking the kick, but more on the defensive line, playing their absolute behinds off. And it was a huge breath of fresh air on a defensive line that walked into the year losing a huge piece in Dalvin Tomlinson. We talked about how big those shoes were to fill. Malik Collins, I believe half a sack, if I'm not mistaken, at least half a sack, and consistently getting after the quarterback, creating pressure. I mean, Myles Garrett got choked out and still found a way to get a sack. There was a conga line trying to block him with 3 people. He is the best player in football. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. Obviously, there's debate, but there's no doubt in my mind about that. The defensive line was, again, the difference maker. It will continue to be the difference maker. Every time I say that, I think about the 3 sacks against the Bengals, and I want to be like, oh, they're 2-1, but we're not 2-1.
We're not.
It sucks, but it was a huge win.
You mentioned the pass rush win rate for Malik Collins. I don't know if you've seen the stat, but Mason Graham recorded a 43% win rate against the Packers. You know what an average for the defensive tackle is?
I'm going to guess 18.
9%.
9, wow.
Is the average win rate for a defensive tackle. Mason Graham is special. This defensive line is special. You know, there were a lot of questions coming in the offseason, and me and you talked about it almost every single week. We always wondered, how much of a difference would it be losing Dalvin Tomlinson and then replacing him with Malik Collins? And since week 1, Malik Collins has been a factor almost every single week. And I believe he had 2 sacks, if I'm not mistaken, one in the first half and then the one in the second half that we saw. But when you just talk about what this defense is, and I know we debated, we haven't really had a real debate, but I know you're on the side of the fence that 2023 defense is better than this one.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think we're getting pretty close. And I obviously it's a small sample size. I still give you the nod. I still say 2023 was something like we've never seen. But we are itching closer and closer and closer to having conversations that this defense is better. And I think if Martin Emerson was on this team and we didn't have the defensive collapse in the secondary like we had last week, it would be even more closer in debate of what we saw. But they have to extend for a whole season. They have to continue to do what they're doing. And I'm expecting them to elevate their play even more, which is crazy to think about next week when they go in on the road and take on Detroit, knowing their high-powered offense.
Yep, they got an extra 30-ish hours of rest on Detroit. Malik Collins a sack and a half, so you were right. It was more than a half, or more than a half a sack. But I mean, the guy that continues to stick out is Carson Schlesinger. Obviously, he had a sack this game, 6 total tackles. He was everywhere. And it's a guy that can stop up the run, we saw the sack on Jordan Love, can spy a quarterback. You don't really need him in coverage as much as you did because Devin Bush has been very good in coverage as well. He has been as good as advertised. There's very few players that the Browns have drafted in the past few years where you're like, whoa, this guy could be a day one impact player in terms of his production on the field and leadership. He's been better than advertised, to be honest with you. He's been unbelievable.
I mean, you know how I think he is. Yeah. Luke Kuechly Jr. I mean, what did I say every single week until the season started? You're going to look up at the stat sheet and you're going to see Carson Schlesinger leading it. And where is he at? He's at the very top of the list, 10 total tackles, 7 solos, 1 sack. But I think, there's one guy in particular that needs his flowers again, and it's Devin freaking Bush, man. I just think back to the signing when we signed Devin Bush and the Steelers fans, the Seahawks fans, you couldn't find a positive comment from anyone that to say anything about Devin Bush. And he came in here last year, ranked 8th in terms of run defense, and then followed it up another year. And quite frankly, it's Myles Garrett, it's Carson Schlesinger, Malik Collins and Mason Graham are neck and neck, and it's probably Devin Bush next in terms of best players on this defense right now. Is that a crazy statement to say?
I think it is because Denzel Ward exists. But in terms of the front, the front 7, I don't think that's a crazy thing to say at all. I think it would probably be
6, 5.
Yeah, I would say Myles Garrett 1 right now. Carson's
Ward still 2.
Denzel Ward 2. Carson Schlesinger 3. 4. I mean, it's probably Malik Collins, honestly. And then it's Bush, Delpit, and the thing with Delpit is that's a guy, when you have a safety like that, occasionally he will make plays that shows up in the box score where you get a pick and he returns to the 5-yard line. But Grant Delpit has been so good. You need a down safety like that to help you in the run game. He's been unbelievable in the best run defense in the NFL. He's filling gaps. He's making tackles. And then when his number is called upon to make an actual play on the football, he does it. He has been another guy who has been as good as advertised. We walked into this season saying you need a true leader in the secondary. Grant Delpit has to be your guy. And he came into the season, has done nothing but shut up, go to work, and post funny Instagram captions after he wins a game. Like he has been the exact safety DB leader the Browns have needed so far this year.
Without a doubt. And I think another hats off that we have to give to is the utility guy, Aiden Huntington, again, everywhere on the field, whether it be getting a sack with Myles Garrett or being a fullback and leading the way for Q's first touchdown. The guy is a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, he is. And he has been, again, another guy who's been as good as advertised on the offensive side of the ball as well. Let's talk offense up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Who doesn't love having everything at their fingertips? With Pure AV's smart home automation, you can seamlessly manage your home's audio, video, lighting, security, and more, all with a simple touch. Create a sanctuary that embodies your unique style and personalized features that bring comfort to every moment. Sit back, relax, and let Pure AV bring convenience and control to your home. Visit us at pureavcorp.com today.
Welcome back into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. The Browns offense put up 13 points and won the game. It was enough. There's obviously some positives, obviously some negatives, but I want to start with the positives. Quinshon Judkins is unbelievable. He has been absolutely exceptional the first two games, and I was wildly impressed by the fourth quarter production. I think it's really cool to see a running back who, kind of like Derrick Henry, wears you down as time goes on. Back-to-back explosive plays where he did not go down on first contact. Unbelievable. But the best part about that, the best part about the 30-something yard run he had in the fourth quarter, the best part about the touchdown he had to tie the game, he was hype. Like, he was getting the fans into it. He was walking up across the side. Like, he wanted to win. That's the first time I've seen a Browns skill player be like that since probably David Njoku in 2023, where you outwardly get the fans into it, are emotional to a point where you can feel the passion through the screen and want to win that badly. You talk about shoes you have to fill with Nick Chubb leaving. I don't know if anybody can fill those shoes. I think we had that debate in the summer. It's going to be tough regardless. I didn't think about Nick Chubb for 1 second this past weekend. I can tell you that much.
Listen, the second I seen, I'm so glad you mentioned it, because that was going to be my thunder right now. I don't know if you saw, but after the touchdown, it's the 4 minutes to go, 3:01. They pan over to Q, and Q is over all the way down towards the end zone, hyping up the fans as if it was a college environment. Like, I'm getting so many goosebumps thinking about that, because that is such a value to have on this team.
Yes.
And when you do the comparison to Nick Chubb and Q, and we had that discussion, I vividly remember it. And it's like, you can never replace Nick Chubb, right? Nick Chubb will never be replaced. But like you said, when you see something like that, you don't think about Nick Chubb in moments like that, because number one, they're like completely different ends of the spectrum in terms of the player that they are, the energy that they bring, the character that they are. And when you see one of who you hope to be one of your best players doing that, like you said, I think David Njoku maybe had that 2023 season where he was that guy. I can't think of another guy on offense that showed that type of emotion the way that Q did. And that's something that players look at. That's something that your offensive line will be like, oh yeah, I'm going to war for this guy. That's something that your defense can be like, let's get this guy the ball back again. So I'm so freaking excited for the players. I think one conversation that we'll have to have, and I hate having negative conversations or things that would just butt heads conversations after wins like this. But in terms, I've seen a lot of the whole, is Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry tied at the hip? This is one of those things where it's going to be a tough conversation to have if you are Haslam or whoever makes that decision, because I don't know if they are attached to the hip, because Andrew Berry, what he did in this draft, it is very, very similar to what we saw in 2018 with John Dorsey.
Absolutely. I think this draft class, and I was telling to my cousin last night, it has the potential to be transformative because every player except for the quarterback is coming in and having an immediate impact. Another discussion we'll have in this episode is the quarterback. Will we see Dillon Gabriel anytime soon? But every single player from this draft class has now come in and made a considerable impact on a real regular season football game, on a real game that counts in the record. You make a 36-yard field goal, and Dylan Sampson is an enormous, enormous reason you win that game. Same with Harold Fannin Jr. Quinshon Judkins, best offensive player in the game yesterday. Like that's the reality of it. And now on the other side of the ball, Mason Graham, Carson Schlesinger, like you're starting to feel the impact. You really are, especially with Schlesinger. If Dillon Gabriel, even Shedeur Sanders, if a rookie quarterback is as good as we need them to be in this offense to, again, just take care of the football, quote, manage the game, whatever it takes, this draft class is transformative. And I don't know how you could get rid of a GM who drafted a transformative draft class. You can't. The only thing is, how much did Stefanski play in that discussion of drafting certain players? Like, we'll never know that. The only people who do are in the building. And the reality is, if Stefanski had a heavy hand, he's not going anywhere either.
It's weird. It's a weird situation to be in. I'm not going to harp on the negatives right now. I'm not going to harp on the downside because
we will later.
We'll gloss over it, but it's been since November. I'm staying hyped. I'm loving what we're seeing right now. I also want to highlight one more thing on the offensive side of the ball, man. That play with Harold Fannin Jr. on, I think it was second and 9.
Yeah.
Dude, I wanted to run on the field and give this man a hug from the audience when I saw that, because it's like, we've seen David Njoku do similar things like that. But for a rookie, like, when I'm trying to think of 2018 was the year, but like, we've been through so many hyping up rookies. I think of the Justin Gilberts. I think of the Johnny Manziels. I think of the Trent Richardsons. I think of the Anthony Schwartz of the world. I think of all of these players that came in with some sort of expectation, and they never even get close to it. The fact that we're seeing this from week 1, like not week 2, not week 3, not week 15 when the games don't matter, out of the gate, you're the best players on your team right now. And I know the names, you can say Myles Garrett's the best. Like, when you talk about best players on the team right now, it's Myles and then it's rookies. Like, that is unfreaking real. And it maybe goes to show you that, hey, maybe if Andrew Berry has some first and second round picks, maybe he can do this type thing. I guess we never really got a big sample size of him drafting in the first round, but if this is what we're gonna get, damn it, sign me up.
Yeah, there is no there's no real proof that he can or can't do it, just because he hasn't really had the opportunity to do it. And the reality is, you have 2 first round picks next year. So if you trust Andrew Berry, he's gonna take swings at the bat. Here's the issue. The Jacksonville Jaguars keep winning. I hate it, but they do. I think there's a better team. I talked about it sometime in June. A better team than we thought they were. I think they could score. The defense looks better. That's the reality of it. But regardless, 2 first-round picks next year. I don't know if they're going to package them up. That is a discussion for March or April. But he's going to have multiple swings at the bat where he can identify. Again, Mason Graham is good. And Quinshon Judkins and Carson Schlesinger, second-round picks. Very, very, very early second-round picks. So you're still taking aggressive swings at the bat. And who's to say if Andrew Berry had, the 28th and 29th overall picks instead of 33 and 36, he wouldn't still have taken those 2 guys. Like, he has an eye for talent, at least as we've seen recently. That's the reality of it in the draft. The product on the field is another discussion. I do want to talk about Kevin Stefanski in this offense up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.
experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Refine your golf swing effortlessly right from the comfort of your home with Pure AV. There's no tee time required. Pure AV's full swing golf simulators capture your every move with precision, while realistic graphics and immersive environments bring the thrill of the greens indoors. Perfect for practice, play with friends, or hosting upscale events. Discover the flawless blend of sport and luxury. Book your consultation today at pureavcorp.com.
Welcome back into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chev Zay, recapping a 13-10 win where the Cleveland Browns kicked 2 field goals and scored a touchdown on a ridiculously short field. The Kevin Stefanski-led offense, the Joe Flacco-led offense, we'll talk Kevin Stefanski more, looked anemic. Joe Flacco had 142 yards. The only reason they were moving the chains really was the run game. That was the reality of it. And here we are again. I don't know about you, Zay. I was clipping tweets, getting ready to talk negatively about this offense again. And the win kind of masked that. The reality is we got to have a hard discussion about the offensive, the schematics right now with what we're seeing with this offense.
Before we get into that, coming from the last segment, I just wanted to make sure people understand there's no doubt in our mind who won that trade right now between the Browns and Jacksonville. It turned into from Travis Hunter to Mason Graham, Quinshawn, Dylan, and a first-round pick. Like, he can be generational all he want right now. We just got studs for the next 5, 6, 7 years, however. But,
and we have another first-round pick from the trade.
Exactly. Like, it's stupid. Yeah. But in terms of this offense, man, you know me. I led the charge on the whole Joe Flacco thing, the Flacco fever, and I'm just sitting here every single drive, and I'm like, something's not right. This isn't. I don't know if he's seeing ghosts. I don't know if he's trying to find every look. Like, I don't know if he's going off script. There was I believe when I was at the game, it was the flea flicker. It was the flea.
Yeah.
They did a 4-yard, bro. They did a flea flicker for 4 yards. Apparently, Joe Flacco missed a guy across the middle of the field. I didn't see that. So I'm wondering what exactly is the true problem here. Is the defense, he gets hit so early often that now he has to alter how his thought process is, because we're still throwing the ball 36 times. My problem with that number is we aren't taking shots with that 36. Like, we're doing dink and dunks here. We're doing 5-yard hitches here. We're relying on our playmakers to get yak after the catch. And while you need that in the offense, while I love seeing that in the offense, that's not going to win you a lot of games. Like, if you're like you catch the ball, turn around, and now there's a defender there. He broke a tackle. Where's the design plays where it's a Golden Tate 34-yard bomb on the sideline? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we saw Flacco do that, and all of a sudden it's like he can't do that now. I'm confused on that. And when I look over at this box score sheet, and I still see that David Njoku isn't having a major impact. I still see Jerry Jeudy basically on a milk carton. Yep. It makes me wonder what the hell is going on with this offense. And like you said, this win masked exactly that, because, oh boy, if you didn't like me before, I can guarantee you wasn't going to like me after this episode had we lost.
Yeah, and the conversations have to be had regardless of win or loss, because 60 minutes of a football game will obviously tell a story more than a score and a box score with a stat breakdown. I'm 100% with you. They need to take shots. I think this was the worst week to take shots that they've had. Like, this is a Packers defense. I talked about it last week. That's just going to sit in zone and make you check the ball down. So in terms of what the defense gave them, at least upon first look on my end, there wasn't a ton there. But the reality is you still have to take your chances when you get them. Like, I am sick of watching the check down on 2nd down and 8, even if it's a 4-yard play. If you stay ahead of the chains, that's a great thing. And I do agree that check downs lead to touchdowns. But when it's every single play. And you're paying Jerry Jeudy. You want Cedric Tillman to take this leap. You have Isaiah Bond as 3 guys who can truly stretch the field. It's just getting annoying. It's getting annoying. And when you watch the offense continually do that and continually have offensive output like this, you have to ask questions about what's going on. I do think, and we'll talk about this in the next segment, a lot of it hinges on quarterback play. However, I watched the first and goal where the design target was to Luke. Was it Luke Whippler? Like,
yeah.
I blew my mind. It blew my mind. There's no world that any team should have a first and goal from the 1 and wind up a 3rd and goal from the 20, 4th and goal from the 17. There's absolutely no way that should ever happen. If you get a holding on the goal line, so be it. So be it. But you have Quinshon Judkins, a guy who's running through the defense at the 1 yard line. Give him the football. Give him the football. Please just give him the football. We talked about if they wanted to win, they had to give him the football. They did, except they had an opportunity at the 1 yard line to do it, and they didn't. I think there's a lot of questions that need to be asked about the offensive approach overall. And again, I think it's quarterback play too. We'll talk about that next. But there's a lot of questions that all have been asked, but again, have kind of been masked by a really good defense.
My whole thing with the Kevin Stefanski and the whose fault is it? It's like there are certain situations in the game where you look at and you know that that's not a player's fault. That's a coaching decision. Like you mentioned, the Whippler one, that one, I know you. If you haven't seen my reaction video, go check it to that. I was ready to go up to the field. I was ready to lose my mind on that one. But like you go back to the very first quarter. You are on their half. I'm getting mad just thinking about it. This is a Victory Mondays day. Relax. You are on their half of the field. It is 3rd and 7, and you run a draw play, not with Q, with Dylan freaking Sampson. And you don't see Dylan Sampson the rest of the day after that. Like, it blows my mind how you go week 1, Dylan Sampson was your best your best person on offense in terms of production. Then you go next week, he doesn't touch the rock, very, very limited. And then you throw him in on a 3rd down at their 48-yard line, 47-yard line for a run. And then you're like, see you, Dylan. Just go sit your ass on the bench. We don't need you no more. Like, this isn't a player thing. That is a coaching decision. Like, there are very evident coaching things that are happening on the field that we're like, what are you doing? And the biggest thing out of all of this, we still haven't cracked 20 freaking points. Like, the win is great. But damn it, bro. Why, again, the offensive guru still can't find a way to score freaking points.
It's insane. I'm so glad you brought up Dylan Sampson because I was going to go off on a tangent there. This is a guy who, I'm just going to say it, was the best offensive player you had against the Cincinnati Bengals. He had a carry, one carry. You want to change pace? Do it. You just drafted Dylan Sampson to change pace again next to Quinshon Judkins. You got the Thunder. Where's your Lightning? He had a carry for 2 yards. That to me is unbelievable. I can't sit back and watch Dylan Sampson, again, a guy who very, very, very clearly showed his dynamic ability in week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Unless there's something we don't know that's happening behind the scenes with Dylan Sampson, we can't sit here and watch that. We can't consistently sit here and watch that. And we all love Jerome Ford. We all think Jerome Ford is a good player. It's clear to see Dylan Sampson has more juice. You saw it in week 1. It was so evident. And now, especially against a team that sat back in the zone like they did, that allowed you to check the football down, your best player, yes, I'm just going to say it, best player who makes plays after the catch, barely played, barely was out there on pass plays. Unless there's something we don't know, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I really want to know, like, what's the thought process behind the offensive scheme? Like, it doesn't feel like there's any real identity when the identity is almost punching you in the face. Why is it taking so long for 10 to get carries? Like, I watched the Green Bay Packers, I believe it was fresh out of the halftime, if I'm not mistaken, and they just ran the ball down our throat. It was maybe a pass here, but they ran the ball like 4 or 5 times in a row, I feel like, with Josh Jacobs. And it's like, why can't we do that? we get one run for 2 yards, and it's like, oh, no, we got to pass the ball 5 times. Okay, let's try to run it here this time on 37. Nah, we're not going to do it here again. We'll get 2 yards. Like, it's almost as if, like, they get to the run game. It doesn't work for that one play, and then they're like, scrap it. We got to go back to the offensive board. And then I would much rather see a 2-yard run than a freaking 2-yard check down. I'm over the 2-yard check downs because it's just more recipe for a disaster. It could be interception. It could be a fumble. It could be this. When if you just give it to 10, I mean, damn, like, has he had a negative yard run this year? I feel like I haven't seen one. Probably one or two, but he reminds me so much of Chubb. Like, I'm looking at the box score. He's got 18 carries for 90, what is it, 96 yards or something like that?
18 for 94, 5.2 yards per carry. I believe it's his average yards per carry with the Ravens game. It's close to 6. Yeah. He had a catch for a yard. Jerome Ford, 4 catches. That's awesome. 10 yards.
Yeah, those are those 2-yard check downs. One of those came on a 3rd and 20. And I think actually all of those, I think, came at that long 3rd and 20, whatever it was. But
even then, like, 4 catches, you're going to give Jerome Ford 4 opportunities to make plays after catch 10 yards. Fine. I can almost guarantee you Dylan Sampson would get you more than 10 yards. If you're going to put somebody in the situation like Jerome Ford, if you're going to check the football down, which again, I don't think it inherently is a bad thing. Checkdowns do lead to touchdowns. It's very well-renowned offensive philosophy. Get the ball in the hands of the guy who makes plays after the catch, and that's Dylan Sampson. That blows my mind.
And I mean, we're such an analytical department. I believe we're leading the league in yards after contact. Who are the guys that are leading that category? Probably Dylan Sampson, probably Quinshon Judkins,
there's 4
probably
guys.
Jared Fenton, probably David Njoku.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's easy to guess who that is, and yet we're not gonna lean on those guys heavily. Like, our offense should be so simple. It should be run, Chief. Run, Jerry. Run, Jerry, Dylan. Run again. Like, we have the playmakers in place. It's just a matter of, are we going to utilize these playmakers, yes or no? And I know everybody's looking at our thing, and it's easy. My boy Zim from Roundtable Sports mentioned that. He said we may sit here and look at Harold Fenton differently than if he was on the Bengals, or we would look at Dylan Sampson differently if he was on a different team. But the fact of the matter is, those are our playmakers. It doesn't matter that they aren't top of the league or one of the best players in the league at their position. On this team, on this offense, your best players are rookies. Your best players are right in front of your face. And the fact that we can't utilize these guys properly, who does that stem from? Is that the player's fault, or is that the guy running the offense's fault?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great question. And I do think it's also down to the quarterback play. Let's talk about Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Smart home automation has never looked so good. When you visit the Pure AV Design Center, you'll be immersed in the epitome of sophistication and state-of-the-art home automation technology. Flawless design, exquisite materials, unparalleled craftsmanship. You deserve nothing less than the pinnacle of perfection. Discover what you've been missing at Pure AV on Killian Road in Akron or online at pureavcorp.com.
Welcome back into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay, and Honor the Land is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel is getting you ready for the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season is here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/bigplay to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Ohio, 21 plus and present in Ohio. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I hope nobody was on Joe Flacco's passing yards in this game. I know you were. I'm sorry. Well, hey, you had the only leg of the Honor the Lay that hit. Jerry Jeudy was a flag, dropped the touchdown. Harold Fannin Jr. picked the wrong tight end. This is the last time I pick a tight end and a Browns tight end in a parlay right now. But regardless, the pass offense looked anemic. The question remains, is Joe Flacco the Browns starting quarterback for, let's say, the next 4 weeks?
I thought you were going shorter than that. Next 4 weeks? I think this is one of those things where it's all this season mimics 2023 so bad. You think about the defense, you think about how the offense was with all the questions at quarterback in 2023 and how they're doing it. Would you ask me again? I'm so far off the loop right now.
No, you're good. Do you think Joe Flacco is the Browns starting quarterback? Let's say next 3 weeks, because that's the real tough schedule. Miami, in terms of team talent, is the drop off in week 7. Next 3 weeks.
That's where I was going with that. So if they win next week, yes. If they lose next week, I think you're going to have to sit there and have that very, very tough conversation. And let me just pull up the schedule real quick as I'm looking at it. So if Detroit is a very, very tough game. That 9:30 game in the Vikings would also be a very tough situation for a quarterback, I feel like, just because
But it could be Carson Wentz on the other side. We could totally see another game like this where there's 20 combined points. There won't be 20 combined points next week. I can almost promise you that. But
in terms of, like, do you want to start a rookie and have him try to, number one, start? All right, that's just the big thing there is start. But then you have to add in, oh, by the way, it's the Minnesota Vikings, and oh, by the way, it's 9:30 in the morning in a different country. So, like, it's not the best schematically in terms of that, but the Steelers game is very, very interesting because we know they're not scared to put players in the fire against teams like that, because we saw it with DTR. He had to go up against Baltimore Ravens and the Steelers in first type of situation action. So I think that Steelers game, I think the third week is going to be the money spot. But if the Browns peel off Lions and they peel off the Vikings, I'm sorry, the Dillon Gabriel fiasco is going to be put on hold until we are officially eliminated from the playoffs.
I think that's the best way to look at it. If Joe Flacco was 2023 Joe Flacco, I think at some point the whole quote rookie thing, and I think there's obviously substance to a rookie coming into the NFL. It's not college football. At some point, the rookie label has to be taken off if you just think it's a talent upgrade. Mm-hmm. And I think if we genuinely don't like what we see from Joe Flacco, the experience, I guess, from a quarterback, obviously it matters, but it shouldn't matter as much as we make it out to be. You know what the really interesting wrinkle to all of this is? The return of Deshaun Watson. So let's say the Browns are 2-4 after this really tough stretch, which honestly I think is I think that's what they'll be. I think they'll be 2-4 hosting Miami week 7. Flacco has not looked good. You let him get through the really tough stretch and you're like, okay, let's make a quarterback change. What if Watson's ready to go week 7?
Too early. See, I don't think you can go to Watson before you can go to Dillon.
I want that. Like, I agree with you. I want them to stick with Dillon before Watson. I don't know if they will.
I think a lot of this is predicated on where you at in the season. What's your record?
Like your record? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like you're not gonna throw Deshaun Watson in if you are competing. Like, this is the tough part about where the Browns are standing right now. Their defense is Super Bowl caliber, and they are playing as if so. They are talking as so, and they are talking as if they're going to win these games at the hands of the defense and not at the hands of the offense. So I think this is going to be one of those things where this is where the coaching is so valuable and so important, because the coach is going to have to go to that locker room. He's going to have to read that locker room. He's going to have to read the defense in particular, since they're the ones leading the way. And they're going to have to get a feel of, okay, if I were to make this move, how's it gonna alter the defense? If Deshaun were to come in, how is this going to alter the game of play? Because we got some sample sizes of looking at how an offense looks when Deshaun Watson gets in, and then the very next week, a guy named Jameis Winston comes in, and it's a completely different world. So I think a lot of this is going to have to rely on the context surrounding it. So it's only a matter of time. However, you mentioned if it's a more of a talent upgrade. I think what I'm leaning my head on is I think it's more of a systematic thing. I think Dillon Gabriel might be the perfect type of quarterback that Kevin Stefanski is looking for. And I think that's what we need to be focusing on, because is it an arm issue with Joe Flacco? No, it's not. Obviously, it's a mobility issue with Joe Flacco.
It's also a backup tackle issue. I don't want us to all,
which we didn't talk about at all.
We didn't talk about that at all. And I don't want us to all, it's hard playing football without either of your starting tackles. But you know what's crazy? Flacco produced like he did in 2023 for the majority of that time without either starting tackle.
But that's why I'm confused. That's why I'm confused, though, because it doesn't make sense. Why is this so much different than 2025 or 2023? The offense shouldn't be as complicated. Like, if it worked in 2023 with him, why are we making it complicated?
I don't know. Again, that's something that you got to dive into the film for. You got to see, like, from what I saw, the backup tackles really mattered and they were rushing Joe Flacco. But 2023 Joe Flacco, who was a year and a half younger, I guess, at this point, was more spry. He was more mobile. He was able to extend plays more than he can right now. And that's the reality of it when you bring in a 40, however old Joe Flacco is, quarterback. That's the risk you run. The interior guys, when Joe Flacco was there, they were a year and a half younger. Obviously, Jack Conklin wasn't there at all, but you didn't really have DeJuan Jones much when Joe Flacco was there. Jack Conklin was injured. But I just look at this and I'm like, this is not the same Joe Flacco. We all wanted it. We all hoped for it. It's not the reality. It's not the reality. And if you have a defense that is going to keep you in games, I'm just like them and the Packers neck and neck for the best defenses in the NFL right now. If you have a defense that's going to keep you in games, that's going to make plays, that's going to make life extremely difficult for an offense. And all of this is happening while the Browns offense is doing them no favors with field position, with time of possession. They're getting no favors. Points. Yeah, that too. But it has to get to a point where you're just looking at the quarterback position for what it is. Not some rookie versus vet, not some, this is Stefanski's guy, this is a guy that Andrew Berry wanted to draft over him. Like, no. Who's your best quarterback? You have a defense that's going to keep you in every single game.
Literally.
Who's the quarterback that's going to give you the best chance to win? I don't care how long they've played in the NFL. Put him in. Let him try.
Question going into the break, and I'll get it on the other end then. Yeah. I'm looking at this offensive line depth chart. It's Cornelius Lucas behind DeJuan Jones and Cornelius Lucas behind Jack Conklin and DeJuan Jones for the right tackle. We are so bare at this left tackle or at our tackle position. The question is, would you be comfortable putting Dillon Gabriel in this type of situation? Because
that's a great question.
That's the reality that we're living in.
That's an awesome question. And I think you have to think about that if you want to make the switch. But at some point, the offensive line is an issue. And we saw it in training camp. Like, it didn't look very good. Last year, it was the story of training camp. And it's where we're at now, where it's holding you up. it's holding you up and you want to play complimentary football, you want to stay ahead of the chains and, quote, win the trenches, that's both sides of the ball. That's not just defensively. That's not just your running back. It's the offensive line. Let's take a break and we'll finish up here up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Hi, I'm Bob Davis with Fairway Ford in Canfield.
Low interest rates like 1.9 are typically only available on a few models. Not today. F-150s, Explorers, Expeditions, Broncos, Super Duties, all are available with 1.9% financing. Being number one means nobody can match our prices on selection. Nobody. Don't wait. This 1.9 rate won't stick around long. Ready, set, Ford.
Fairway, that's the way we do business.
Welcome back into Honor Land on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. We got to talk about this offensive line a little bit more and how comfortable you would be with putting Dillon Gabriel in, or any rookie quarterback for that matter. Does it get to a point where you almost say, I don't care if it's midseason and the season's lost and you just want to see?
If it's midseason and the season's lost, yeah, I don't care at all. But these coaches, Kevin Stefanski in particular, he can't afford that. That's what I'm saying. Like,
oh yeah.
I think this is one of those things where it's just going to be hard to get to a point of season and be like, oh, yeah, the season's lost. Let's just go out here and wing it. And then we continue to lose games and then be like, hey, coach, you're back for another year. I think this is it. You got it. Like, you can't allow this season to be lost at the halfway point. The season has to be lost towards the end of the year. And I know that sounds crazy to say because the expectation for this team isn't to be good. No one has expectations for them to be good, but I'm sorry. I get it. But this is a results-based business. We can't keep sitting here and saying 4-win is good football. 3-win is good enough to retain your job. It just can't be the reality of this whole situation. And unfortunately, if we continue to look like we are on offense, there's only going to be so much for what our defense can do. And then we're going to be sitting here talking about another locker room divide and did the coach lose the locker room here and this and that. I will say this one thing about the coach. The most positive thing I could say, his his victory speech yesterday was the best that he has ever had, and it is not even close. And that was the first time I looked around at the other players in that locker room while he was talking. And I'm like, okay. They showing him some love here. So I pay attention to stuff like that. Just go back and look at recent victory speeches and all that other stuff and how he came off, and you can see the clear difference. So maybe this was the game and the turning point for our coach, Kevin Stefanski.
I think it could be as it relates to the past couple years for sure. I mean, it's like it's a year by year thing. The NFL changes year after year.
It's a game by game thing.
It is a game by game thing, to be honest with you. But like 2023, I think we'd kind of be fooling ourselves if we said Stefanski didn't have the locker room when the leader of the helm just kept finding ways to win when you didn't feel like you should be winning games. Mm-hmm. And anybody who says that continued into next year after you let Joe Flacco go, after Watson came in and was not good, you let Jameis sling it a little bit, you win a game. Did he win? No, you win a game with Jameis, and then you pull the plug quicker than you probably should have. Like, the locker room wasn't there last year. He's almost has to win it back, at least in the public's eyes. This is a game where you do it because, again, games that you feel like you have no business winning against really good teams often comes down to coaching. But then you look at the offensive play calling and what actually happened within the game, and you can't say that's the case. There's no way.
I will say this. Remember my prediction, by the way, which I was spot on almost, except for the score. If you guys didn't check it out, go check it out. But I told you it was going to come. Kevin Stefanski was going to have a trash game the entire time. And at the end of the game, he was going to find a way to do something like he always does when his feet is at the fire. It always seems like whenever we are having these conversations about Kevin Stefanski should be fired, he always comes out and has some type of crazy win. Now, the only thing that sucks about that, when you look at this, how much of that was on the offense? Grant Delpit took the ball down to the 3-yard line.
Exactly.
He put us in the position to get there. So you can sit here and say, oh, not where the Kevin haters at now. Look at what he did. I'm looking at what Grant Delpit did, because he made it pretty much like the most obvious thing for Kevin to say, hey, give the ball to 10. It was almost like a Seahawks situation. Test us if you want. Throw this damn ball, and we only get 3 when we should have got 7. Let's see where this gets you. Had they not scored off of that interception, whew,
oh man,
whew, oh boy, but hey, we won. I ain't gonna go down that path.
Yeah, and I do think some credit needs to be given to the Packers defense. I mean, that's an elite unit that's going to be.
We were better.
Yes, yes, absolutely they were. Yeah. But that's an elite unit that's going to give you a lot of trouble, regardless if everybody's healthy on your offensive line, regardless of, if your quarterback's making good plays. Like, that's a good defense. They're going to give you trouble. But like you said, it was almost handed to the offense, I'll say, to, be in that game, to win that game. Let's we'll finish up here on Honored Land on the next segment, but I do want to ask you a question about the special teams, because ultimately we haven't talked about it, and that was the difference in this game. We'll take a break and finish up here on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Hi, I'm Bob Davis with Fairway Ford in Canfield.
Low interest rates like 1.9 are typically only available on a few models. Not today. F-150s, Explorers, Expeditions, Broncos, Super Duties, all are available with 1.9% financing. Being number one means nobody can match our prices on selection. Nobody. Don't wait. This 1.9 rate won't stick around long. Ready, set, Ford.
Fairway, that's the way we do business.
Welcome back into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. We're going to finish up here recapping this unbelievable win against the Packers with the $1 million question about special teams. We talked about Andre Smith week 1 saying, do you need to change a kicker after week? We're like, no, probably not. But if it happens again.
I was.
Yeah, well, it's understandable. It's understandable. Let me ask you this. If Andre Smith missed that kick, would the Browns have went out and gotten Younghoe Koo or another quarterback, but Younghoe Koo or another kicker that was a free agent? Would the Browns have gone out of their way to get somebody, you think?
They would have had no choice. They would have had no choice. But unfortunately, we don't even have to think about that. So I'm not even going to go down the conspiracy trap of, how I can get. I can spin it any way. Yeah. But I don't even think we have to get to that point. You know what I think is more frustrating in terms of our special teams is we have one of the most valuable weapons in terms of field position in the punter situation. And every single time that he grants us, a 2-yard line start for the other side, we never ever can capitalize on that. And that's the part that's frustrating with the special teams. But I will say, I think there was a kicker that they talked about when he first started. Was it Justin Tucker? There was one kicker who started out his career on not so great of a foot. And he turned out to be one of the better kickers. I'll have to do some research to find out who that is. But I guess he lost his great grandmother or his grandmother or he lost someone in July, and I guess it was his mom. He lost his mom in July, and he talked about that in his press conference about how she was his biggest fan and all of that stuff. And us as fans don't take that type of stuff into accountability and how much that affects you and affects your play. And when you're at a position, at the kicking position, that literally is the most mental position that there is on the field, it's a lot more understanding of why, mixed with the fact that he is a rookie and having the expectation, putting the pressure kicks on it. Like, it's a tough situation to be in if you're a kicker. So I was one of those guys who were ready to have his head. I know Myles Garrett at the end of the game had said fans wanted his head. I was one of them. I'll be the first to admit it. But him doing that yesterday, you wipe the slate clean, brother, and we're at a fresh start. Week 1 is behind me. I'll never bring it up again. That was spectacular for what he did for us. Especially, I mean, from that 3:45 mark until there, it was almost like we were destined. There was nothing that was going to happen for us to lose that game.
It's crazy. Week 1 is a game you feel like the Browns had absolutely no business losing, and they lost. This week, you're like the Browns had absolutely no business winning, and they won. I want to finish by reading a quote. I don't know if you saw it from our good friend Shelby Harris, who was on the show about 3 months ago, who blocked that field goal to give the Browns the ball around midfield, got a first down, end of the game. We continued to talk to him about the impact of the defense, how that 2023 defense was the difference maker in a lot of games when the offense, kind of seemed anemic, kind of like it did yesterday. He told us his mindset with all this stuff and the defense's mindset. If they don't score, we win. That's got to be the mindset regardless. That's the mindset of any great defense. You got to hold them to 0. The commitment to holding them to 0, quote unquote, but really just putting your best foot forward on a down after down basis has kept the Browns in 2 of 3 games this year.
Really 3 for real, if you think about it. That's the first half of that Baltimore Ravens game was really, really good for the defense. They just couldn't do anything because the offense put them in bad position.
That is true.
And they put the defense and the offense in position to score, and they still couldn't do it.
Yeah. And Pat just said his 6th career block field goal, which is crazy. Like special teams matters. I don't know if you saw the other games. Eagles blocked 2. Jets almost won a game because they blocked one and ran it back. Crazy stuff. But that, to me, is the commitment of half of this Browns roster, or I guess like 40% if you include special teams, where they are so set on doing their jobs. They are so set on, executing their assignments, whatever Jim Schwartz is having them do. 40% of your roster is there, right? You want to include special teams and the other, like, let's say 20% there. Bojorquez has been great. Andre Smith, like you said, clean slate. There's 60%. Where is the rest of that 40% going to fill in? Is it the quarterback that needs to improve? Is it the play calling that needs to improve? I think there are pieces of percentages that are coming in there. Like Quinshon Judkins is having a huge impact. Harold Finn Jr. is having a huge impact. I think the interior offensive line has been okay. Like, I don't think it's been that bad. Where are you going to get the rest of those percentages to get up to 100? That's my question as we move forward. Any final words before we sign off before our preview episode against the Lions later on this week?
This is the analogy that I'm running with, all right? And you being a fellow golfer, you can appreciate where I'm going with this. You just need bogey golf from the offense. You ask where you're going to get that extra 60% from, it's smacking you in the face. You don't need Joe Flacco to throw the ball 40 times. You don't need Jerry Jeudy to catch 15 passes. You literally need to create a run game. You need to utilize your playmakers, which are Harold Fannin, David Njoku, Jerry Jeudy, Quinshon Judkins. And then when it's time for Joe Flacco to go out there and be a vet and use his 20-plus years of experience to go out there and make a play, that's when you do it. That's going to be at the hands of the coach, though. The coach should know that. It shouldn't be us here talking, being like, you know what, this is what it should go down. He should know that we just need Joe for certain situations, not the entire game. So if you can play bogey golf, you can have a double bogey here. Hell, you can even have a blow-up hole and get a 10.
Yeah.
If you can keep it within that bogey range, I promise you, this is all this team needs to win 7, 8, 9 games. If you get par golf on the offensive side of the ball, now we're back where my crazy take where I said we can win 10 games. But until then, just play bogey golf, please. Take your damn 3-putt if you need to.
Bogey golf and let the defense play like Scotty Scheffler. That's the bottom line. And they have been, to be honest with you. We appreciate you guys watching. We appreciate you listening. Again, Browns win 13-10, first victory Monday of the year. Enjoy it. We'll be back Friday with the preview episode against the Detroit Lions on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Hi, I'm Bob Davis with Fairway Ford in Canfield.
Low interest rates like 1.9 are typically only available on a few models. Not today. F-150s, Explorers, Expeditions, Broncos, Super Duties, all are available with 1.9% financing. Being number one means nobody can match our prices on selection. Nobody. Don't wait. This 1.9 rate won't stick around long. Ready, set, Ford.
Fairway.